In Nigeria, where some scientists and university professors are demanding new policies or legislation to address global climate change, Jacqueline Ogoh reports on the debate in Lagos State.
Residents of Lagos and elsewhere in Nigeria say the weather this year has been very hot. Scientists disagree about the causes of global climate change, though many trace it to human activities such as emissions from industry, automobiles, the burning of fossil fuels, and the clearing of forest areas. The hotness of Lagos is raising concern among Nigerians about their climate.
This is an evidence I have something cold here. It shows that it's extremely hot here in Lagos. And I think it wasn't like this some years back. The impact of the global economic climate change has been enormous.
Temperatures have been really high, 34 degrees, and even as a matter of fact, when you sometimes say, okay, the cool breeze is going to cool down the temperature, but no, whenever the breeze is blowing, it's blowing hot breeze. And we usually have high temperatures, even at night. This global warming, believe me, it's hitting us real bad.
There are complaints of intense heat across Nigeria and pleas for the government to help. Elizabeth Emmanuel lives in Abuja.
For Abuja, I just noticed that the weather recently has been very, very hot. It's just unbearable. As in, sometimes you're inside the house and when you're coming out, you see the sun, you feel like running back to your room. And I noticed that the government here in Abuja, I'm expecting them to keep planting trees, but I noticed that they are falling the trees. So I wonder what they're trying to do about this climate change. I expect them to be planting more trees and not to keep falling trees.
My worry is that if it continues like this, it might bring something else. As in, it might cause a natural disaster, and there's no plan for it now. The government are not making any efforts.
At a forum organized by a group of NGOs called the Policy Advocacy Partnership on Climate Change, Lagos State government was on hand to discuss climate change. The state's commissioner for the environment, Mr. Muiz Banire, says the government is discouraging people from the burning of waste and encouraging greater recycling, and has bought hundreds of buses like these to reduce the number of cars on the roads. But irregular electricity supply spoils the use of small power generators, and Banire says there seems to be challenges ahead.
We also believe that we are one of the most vulnerable states in Nigeria, one of the most vulnerable cities in the whole world, as far as climate change repercussions are concerned.
However, Oyelowo of the University of Lagos says developing nations should get more realistic about the enforcement of international environmental protocols.
So you find even Nigeria going outside to sign treaties and sign conventions and sign protocols that by the time they fly from New York across Atlantic, by the time they land, cross over from Abuja, from Lagos to Abuja, they've forgotten all the conversation and everything that led to this discussion.
Ganiyu Akolade, a lecturer at Lagos State Polytechnic, is concerned about the effects of climate change on agriculture because farmers are having problems planting crops in very hot weather.
People are no longer concentrating on production of grains. People are now moving to animal production, like fish, like poultry. You know, and because of the heat stress, you see a lot of them dying. And you wonder what is killing them. You give them anti-stress and anti-stress, but they will never survive.
Nigerians are urging their own government to ensure the implementation of the 7th Millennium Development Goal, which calls for integrating principles of sustainable development and reversing the loss of environmental resources. From Lagos, Jacqueline Ogoh reporting.